Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another stream on the channel. Leicester City's season ended yesterday in defeat to AFC Bournemouth, and it was like walking bloody paint dry, wasn't it? A bloody ball fest, and didn't look like scoring. Just summed up the season as a whole, and Ruud van Nistelrooy's final game in charge, it looks like, and a catastrophic season is what we call it, and it's Leicester's worst ever points tally in the Premier League, and I think it's a joint points tally in the top flight at 25 points since like 77, 78, I think it is. So a lot to discuss regarding yesterday, and then headed for next season, what needs to change, who needs to go. There's a lot calling out for the board, players, and obviously there's a few statements which we're going to read out today regarding Ricardo Pereira. A lot of truths in there. Caleb Okoli, another one. And we're going to chat with Imran to see where has it all gone wrong and what next. So get involved. Let me know your thoughts as always. Hit that like button if you enjoy the show. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. It'll help me out massively. I got back from bloody Bournemouth at 4 o'clock, long drive back. So, I'm bloody heading the game in this, and I've prepared a lot in a short space of time. But evening, Tez, how are we? Hey, how are we? We need someone like Ranieri to bring us to something miraculous. I mean, bloody, we need a miracle, let's be honest, ahead of next season. The club haven't planned as of yet like they should. A lot of mismanagement, a lot of bad decisions, and it's causing PSR mess once again. So let's get my mate Imran in. Imran, how are we?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. How are you?
I'm all right. Imran, show us your shirt, mate. Who's on the back?
I can't really show you. I could show you, but I'll tell you anyway. It's Robbie Savage.
Lovely. I'm sure that goes down in Leicester folklore with Robbie Savage. Imran, how are we?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. This is a funny story about the Robbie Savage shirt, though. Yeah. I remember back at Filbert Street, back in the days, when we were pretty good under Martin O'Neill. Yeah. Robbie Savage was my favourite player at the time because he epitomizes hard work, commitment. He always used to be the banter guy in the team. So I thought I'm going to get Robbie Savage at the back of my shirt, which I did. And then the way he left a few seasons later, I wish I hadn't, but it's still a piece of memorabilia I keep in my... I just got it from my mum's house, actually, because I moved out of there about 16 years ago. So I went there right now because I promised my son I'd do up the room for him. So this will be framed very soon. So, yeah.
Obviously, Robbie Savage did well at Leicester. Didn't end well with going and doing the celebration against Leicester. For Birmingham City, when it is, as far as you go back, he's gone from a likeable bloke at Leicester to probably one of the most hated blokes.
I know.
Remember talking to you at the FA Cup final. Lovely. I mean, that was a great day, wasn't it, Imran? The FA Cup final when we won.
That was an amazing day as well, mate. That was fantastic. I know it was a bit crap with the seating and stuff. We didn't have a full stadium, but the people who were sitting next to me that day, like there was one old chap sitting next to me, left-hand side. He cried for about 5 minutes after the final whistle went.
Crazy.
So yeah, it was an emotional day for me. Yeah.
Imran, let's have a look at the game from yesterday. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, this could end pretty quickly with how we talk about this one. We could probably describe it in one word. An absolute shit show at the Vitality. lack of urgency, just nothing about the team. I don't even think Patterson Daka touched the ball, did he, in the game, as far as I was aware. No shots on target. I think we had 3 shots during the game. But then Bournemouth obviously scored the 2 goals with Semenyo, who I think is a cracking player, by the way. Ruud van Nistelrooy set up very negatively, didn't he, with the players that he put in. And Leicester got the just desserts, Imran. An absolute ball fest, people would call it, the Vitality yesterday to end the season. A real dead rubber match.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, fortunately, I didn't take the gamble and go down yesterday because I knew what it'd be like. But yeah, shocking starting 11 from Ruud van Nistelrooy. Considering it was our last game of the season, you would have thought that he would have probably given Monga his full debut, in the sense that a start for Monga. Jake Evans, he could have given a start to, seeing as though...
No, was Imran crashed?
Bilal El-Khanous. He could have started with Bournemouth.
Back.
Sorry?
You're back.
Oh.
I think you paused.
Oh, okay. He should have. Yeah, no, I was going to say that he should have started with Facundo if Bilal weren't playing, then at least go for a like for like. But the choices that he made yesterday on the starting lineup were shocking, absolutely shocking. And I felt sorry for the away fans that made that massive journey down to Bournemouth.
I was one that took the punt to go down yesterday. Wasn't a pretty sight, let's be honest. A lot of discussions on the board. John Rudkin and Ruud van Nistelrooy, as the chant goes. I mean, the team itself, no Ndidi yesterday due to illness. Obviously, personal problems with El-Khanous. I think it was family reasons he missed yesterday. Some said you could probably read into it what you will regarding players being sold in the summer, regarding the likes of Ndidis, the El-Khanouses and that. But Leicester just didn't show up, did they, at all? You know, I thought it were an easy match for Bournemouth. Just nothing about it whatsoever. 2 sides going at it with nothing to play for. The amount of sloppy passes, the hospital passes, the just no lack of getting forward, the passing sideways, backwards, and then you get forward, Imran, and you go backwards again. And, you know, the fans booed at that yesterday when they get the ball forward and you think, you know what, there's an opportunity here. And I think Oliver Skipp scored an offside goal, didn't he, with McAteer being offside. And, yeah, it wasn't a pretty sight in the first half, a very boring first half.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story of our season, though, isn't it, Jack? We've not been... I don't think no one's mentioned this, but in this Premier League campaign this season, when have we played a full good 90 minutes this season? You know, like you got we haven't. We simply haven't. Right. I guess you could say the Man City game at the King Power, we were pretty good. But I can't really think of a game where we've dominated the game. I know it's the Premier League, but it's just a shame that we haven't put in a good performance all season.
I agree. I do. You know, yesterday really summed up the season of how bad we really are as a team. You know, there's no players in that squad that's going to really pick it up by the scruff of its neck when things are going wrong, or there's just nothing in a game where you can say, you know what, this player can absolutely change this. Facundo came on, didn't really offer anything. Ricardo, I thought he did okay. Luke Thomas were okay. Christensen, just the same as bloody usual. The defence, Cody and Fass, you know, I thought, you know, they got beaten easy at times. Stalasic, I thought, had a great game yesterday, if I'm honest. He was the man of the match for me, made some great saves, kept us in the game for a long margin, you know. If it wasn't for him, they'd have scored a hatful of goals. But, you know, Leicester switch off with the first goal. The ball comes in from the free kick. Ball into the middle. Leicester doesn't deal with it. And then Semenyo pokes it home. The second goal's just poor defending again at its finest. But this has been the moral of the story all season, hasn't it, Imran? Defence. The goals have been leaking.
Yeah, I think Soumare was at fault for both the goals, actually. He got beaten. Yeah. So he got beaten with the header on the first one. I think he ducked and the Brighton defender won the ball and Semenyo scored from that. And the second one, he's trying to dribble it out from, the edge of the area, gives the ball away, and Semenyo, lost the ball, and Semenyo whacks it in. Good finish, but Soumare shouldn't be doing those, basic mistakes at the back.
It just seems very much laziness by some of these players, Imran. They know the end of the season's coming. They know they'll get moves elsewhere. You look at the team, Imran, Forest away, a lot more fight, a lot more urgency, a lot more determination to get stuck in and that. And then you compare it to yesterday's game, and you just think, where the hell's that team gone? What's happened?
But if you take Ndidi out of that team, again, he's had a shocking season as well, but he makes a difference. And you take Bilal El Khanous out of that team, we've got nothing. We've got no quality in the midfield, right? No quality. I mean, you can't have Skip and Soumare as your two in the middle. To be fair, I think Luke Thomas and JJ had a good game. For some reason, JJ seemed to have defended pretty well yesterday. I think he had Semenyo most of the time. And even Luke Thomas had a pretty decent game. But apart from that, I guess McAteer was running around. But yeah, poor performance. Ayew did all right again. I know people don't like him, but I was watching it on TV, right? So I wasn't there. But Ayew seemed he was working hard as he usually does. But yeah, the rest of it's that midfield, Jack. That midfield, we need legs in the midfield. And I think that's our problem. Most of the season, we haven't got any legs in defense or in midfield.
Slow.
Too slow.
Too slow. We were awful, but the substitutions made an already team performance worse. I mean, Imran, Jeremy Monga, Aluko came on yesterday. I think Jake Evans made an appearance. Players who you want to see start the game. You got nothing to play for at all. They're the sort of players you look at next season in the Championship, where you want to build around them types of young players. Bring the young players through, give them that experience, and it's it's the last game of the season and gives them a little bit more game time and a little more stronger in the personalities and that with the aggression side of the game. And but Imran, I mean, Rue probably could have gone for the younger players yesterday, couldn't he? Like a Michael Golden and that, stuck them in, got their legs in there. I mean, Jeremy Monga, I know he's 15 years old. He's still got a lot to learn in by his trade. He looks fantastic, doesn't he, when he's got the ball? He does a lot with the ball. But they've got to be given a lot of chances, haven't they? I think this is where you look at next season. The youngsters have got to come through and give them a chance, because if they can do that, it adds metal to their personality, in the Championship, and they'll start to thrive.
Yeah, but look, I think that there is an argument that you can't throw them in too early as well, right?
Yeah.
So Monga, I agree, yesterday was a perfect opportunity to give him a start. It's the last game of the season. Even Jake Evans, throw him on. Doesn't matter, right? Even if we would have lost 5-0, the fans wouldn't have said anything, because we would have given the younger players a chance. As I think MTB saying there, right? He is too young. Even next season, let's not get away from ourselves. He ain't going to be starting next season as well. We just got to sign him up.
He's not ready, is he?
He's not ready. Yeah. But right, next season he'll play a bit part role in our campaign next season. So yesterday was an ideal opportunity to put him on, start him. It doesn't matter, because we're relegated anyway. Next season it's probably going to be Fatawu and Mavadidi that are going to be our wingers, most probably. We're going to have Will Alves back, who's had a really good season half a season at Cardiff. Ben Nelson will be back with us as well. Hopefully he'll get a start. So we have got young players that are hungry and should start next season. But it all depends on, which we'll come to, I guess, in a bit, who the manager's going to be, right?
Yeah. Imran, Terry talks about no threat up front at all. I mean, Patson Daka is the only striker left at the football club. Didn't really be seen yesterday in the game at all. It just feels like we played with 10 men. He's a great bloke, he is, but I just don't think his career at Leicester's... I think it just needs an exit in the summer, maybe go elsewhere and play. Maybe a different league, somewhere else. Maybe he goes back to the Austrian Bundesliga or somewhere like that. I don't know, but it's not gone as well as he'd hoped. I just don't think he pressed enough yesterday. He just didn't do anything at all up front. We just looked like we had nothing up front. Vardy's obviously been the main man, hasn't he? You know what you're going to get with Jamie Vardy when he's up front. He'll offer something. Tom Cannon obviously went to Sheffield United, scored 1 goal in 17 games in ran for Sheffield United. One of their probably poorest ever signings, Sheffield United, getting £10 million from him, by the way. Leicester City did. But it's a big problem now, isn't it, Imran, to replace Jamie Vardy? I mean, where do you sort of see it with Leicester? I mean, are there any real strikers in mind where you think Leicester need to go with next year in the Championship to replace the Leicester number 9?
So let's start with Patson Daka, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be probably a contentious view. I think Daka doesn't fit our system, right? That's why he's so poor. He can't hold the ball up, right?
No.
He can't control the ball as well. So when someone fires the ball in at him, he can't control it, bounces off him. So if we looked at his stats in the Austrian league, he was scoring most of his goals on the counter attack, where he'd be running down the lines and getting a through ball and scoring. He's a great finisher of a football when he's one-on-one with the keeper. Problem is we don't play that way, right? We want to play this possession style, etc., etc. He's poor. If we're going to continue playing the passing game, and if the rumors are, if they are true, and Martin is coming in as our next manager, Daka is not going to be the guy for us. So we need to get rid. As for potential strikers out there, just throwing some names out there. How about, I know he's injury prone, but Callum Wilson's available from Newcastle, right? He's a goal scorer. I know he's injury prone, but maybe he could be a potential target for us if you want to get quick goals, and he's proven in the Championship, as we know. That's one player I was looking at from a potential striker option, but there's not many out there, is there? If you think about it, there's that Norwich player, Sargent. Yeah,
he's a Championship striker.
Yeah, I think, and he works hard as well. He's a workhorse.
Yeah.
I'd look at him potentially, but we don't know, right? Like who, what our scouting department is doing out there right now, who they're looking at. But we have to find 2 strikers next season. You need to go in in the Championship with at least 3 strikers in your squad.
I agree, Archie. You can't go too old in the Championship. I mean, you look at a lot of the players in the Championship, don't you, Imran? The young strikers, aren't they? Some of them are under the age of 25. Sargent's going to cost £26 million. Yeah, I don't see Leicester even spending bloody half of that, let alone a bloody full amount. Big man and little man, shake it up a bit. What do you reckon to Paul's comment? I mean, people talk about 2 up front, don't they, Imran, quite a lot. Leicester's experienced, didn't they, with Matty Fryer and Steve Howard, Ashoa and Vardy at one point. I mean...
but before your days, but Heskey, Cotty was there as well. Oman Droid, Joachim.
I mean, football's changed, hasn't it? A lot of teams seem to go the Pep Guardiola format now, don't they, of possession-based football and one striker up front. Football's changed massively, hasn't it? I know people look at Sean Dyche's football when he used to play with Ashley Barnes and Danny Ings is a 2. But how do you see it, Imran? Do you think how do you sort of fit the system for the Championship? Is it you stick with the 1 up front, or do you think Paul's right and maybe trying a 2, or do you think football's gone past that point now with 2 strikers?
So it's a difficult one, right? Like I'm a traditionalist. I like the 4-4-2, but at the same time, these managers are not. Then they can't all be stupid, right? Playing the 4-3-3. There must be a reason why they're playing this specific way. I mean, I think why can't a team play 2 ways? You start off with a 4-3-3, and if it doesn't work, you just change it and go 4-4-2. Why can't we do that? But I think managers nowadays, they're just so stubborn in the way they want to play, and they don't want to change it up. Like we saw, I know Manchester United is a bad example, but United were losing in one of these European ties. I can't remember who they were. I think it was Lyon, and they stuck Harry Maguire up front, and they won the game. right? Why can't like Leicester do that? Like we used to put Steve Walsh up front, or Matty Elliott up front, or Jerry Taggart up front, but managers don't want to do that anymore. They just don't want to. They don't want to put a big man up front because they want to play the beautiful game. But look, the beautiful game is only beautiful when you win the game. That's my view. So anything that you can do to win the game, you should try it.
Darch is a 4-4-2. He is, yeah. He's played it with Calvert-Lewin, didn't he, at one point with at Everton. Put Morgan Whittaker as the number 10. I mean, Morgan Whittaker did well, did he? Armchair Jockey's put a name out there. Did well at Plymouth. Worked well in the number 10. Proven championship player. Worked well in a certain system. And not really hit it off at Middlesbrough, has he, Imran, Morgan Whittaker?
No, I think he's not. But I think Middlesbrough had a poor season anyway. But he could be another player that we can look at and potentially approach Middlesbrough and pouch him away because the lad's got potential for sure.
Yeah. Will Martin go for Cameron Archer? I mean, it's not the most entertaining striking signing, is it? To bloody fill Jamie Vardy's boots in Cameron Archer, obviously. He done well at Middlesbrough. But Southampton hasn't proved anything, has it, to be fair?
Again, a step to the Premier League for him was too much, right? So I think that's what it was. Maybe he just needs a couple of seasons again, at the lower division and then have a crack at the Premier League again.
Before we go on to managers, let's chat about the board. Obviously, this is how the fans reacted yesterday at full time regarding their frustrations towards a certain individual.
Thank you for your support this afternoon. Please do.
Imran, John Rudkin. It's been a name that's been sang many a times this season and obviously last season. Talk to me about the board. I mean, the problems seem to keep mounting up, don't they, Imran? Mismanagement, a lot of bad decisions, big wages are being handed out. PSR's now come up front again, hasn't it, regarding Leicester being charged by the Premier League and that. The more reactive bloody people when things are going wrong than proactive in making decisions better rather than, so they're not making the better decisions, are they? They're making the worst decisions. I mean, you look at the Steve Cooper appointment, the gamble they took on Ruud van Nistelrooy, and well, Van Nistelrooy's gone worse than what the team was under Steve Cooper, I need to be fair. Didn't sack Ruud, did they? Let's be honest, the hierarchy at Leicester have kept him in a job. Just no communication, radio silence from the club, and Van Nistelrooy highly spoke about it yesterday and in his press conference the day before. So what's your initial thoughts on the board, Imran? I mean, how deep is it now and how do they make things right, Imran? And if they're not, what do you do to make it right at Leicester?
So it is quite disappointing, right? That the board have not said anything, right, so far. You'd expect at least some form of communication to the fans because there is a lot of unrest. I mean, Jack, I don't go to as many away games as you do. I've been to probably 60-70%, and the fans most games are singing Rudkin out, Rudkin out. So what club should come out and say something that this is the situation. We're sorry, apologize to the fans. Sometimes it doesn't hurt when you come out and say, we're sorry, we've made mistakes. Fans will look at that and say, at least they've come out and said they're sorry, right? But because nothing's happened, right? They're not even talking to Ruud, it seems like, right?
Yeah.
So if that happens, then all right, we'll give them something and say, right, at least you've come out and said anything. But because they still haven't, and they're keeping Ruud waiting, we know most likely that rumors start. There's no smoke without fire, right? So these Russell Martin news on Team Talk and I think Percy has come out with it today, and a few others have come out and said that.
Jeff Peters said it yesterday.
Peters said it yesterday that Martin's most likely going to be the next manager. That's not fair on Ruud, is it? At least tell Ruud first.
Yeah.
Let him know what his position is. It's a complete. I don't know. I think people have just become comfortable, mate, in their positions over the last 8-9 years, and as a club, we haven't evolved. You have to evolve, right?
You got to move with the times.
Yeah, and move with the times. What worked 8-9 years ago ain't going to work now. Things move on, right? Like we all know about artificial intelligence as well, right? That's taking over right now. If people don't understand that right now, they're going to get left behind. Similarly, football is the same. If you don't move with the times, you're going to get left behind. And unfortunately, that's what's happened to our great club. We've been left behind, and something needs to be done. Now, we blame Rudkin for the contracts and all that good stuff, but we don't know if he is the guy, right? Like, yes, he's in charge, but there must be a group of people making this decision. And I think you're totally right, mate, that the wages are the biggest problem, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about the transfer fees.
Champions League wages.
Yeah, transfer fees. Look, that's fine. We can amortize them over the years, right? If you buy a player for 40 million, 50 million, they work it out over the contract, the years of contract you've given that player. But the wages, whoever's giving these ridiculous wages out needs to be held to account, right? To say, why have you given Winks, Vestergaard, Cody, even Wilfred and Didi? There's quite a few of them. They're on 75, 80 grand a week. Okay, we've got Vardy. Yeah, we've got Vardy off the wage bill now, which is our best player, right? Sad to see him go, but I believe he was on about 110, 120 grand a week, but he deserved it. But the rest of them, they don't deserve that much money, and they must have wages.
It's baffling, isn't it, how you can give big wages. This is what's got us in this mess.
100%. 100%.
Rudkin negotiates wages. He does. That's his job. He does the financial side of things. What I've heard from many things, Rudkin's the man who does the wages. He's not a negotiator. He's not a director of football. He can't do that. Do you get what I mean? You need somebody else to come and do that job. This is what
there's even a story, right? There's even a story, right, that they're saying that if we didn't offer these wages to like Harry Winks and Vestergaard, for example, right, they wouldn't have joined us. Well, good. Then don't join us, right? I'd rather pay less wages than rather have a player come in and demand this sort of salary. It's, to me, it's just the wages have put us in this mess, mate.
It's easy money. Imran, they might even offer you 140 grand a week next season to go front.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I'd take that straight away.
Rookie might call you after this to say, man, do you fancy it? Or just 70 grand a week?
Yeah.
Top's getting bad advice and still keeping Rookie. Why? The thing is, Top makes the final.
Well, and another point. Sorry, Jack. Another point, right? I think Larry on the chat. Larry's just put on the chat, right? That Edward. I mean, that has been a total fiasco. We had a loan position available at the club. We've gone and bought Edward from Crystal Palace, who missed out on the FA Cup, by the way, and we've ended up
wages,
and we're paying his wages. Can you believe that?
Yeah, 90.
And he hasn't played. He hadn't started a game for us apart from one cup game.
I think he's played 29 minutes in the Premier League.
That's absolutely like embarrassing. That is.
That's a John Rudkin signing. That's John Rudkin negotiating these things.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Rob Tanner about it, and he said Rudkin obviously goes to talk to Crystal Palace, and he has, and it's crazy how you've cut. He's the worst ever signing I've ever seen. The £4.6 million over a year is absurd. He's just sitting there on 90 grand a week, not even getting a game, putting his feet up at Seagrave, getting a nice massage and whatever he's getting.
He's not even getting on the bench. He's not even getting on the bench. Yeah, he's not even on the bench. At least get on the substitutes bench. He can't even make the bench. So I don't know what's happened there.
The thing is, Terry, Top needs a proper football advisor with him. He does. Rudkin needs moving elsewhere. He's not going to sack him. You know, we keep saying it, sack Rudkin. You know, it comes out and he needs moving elsewhere. You need to bring someone, proper football advisor in now. It's the decision making that's the problem. Rudkin and Top are the ones who make the decisions at the club. And it's crazy to even think. Whelan's, what I've heard from Rob Tanner, she just does general day-to-day stuff now. She has nothing to do with it. It's them two are the ones who make these decisions and whatever else. And it's crazy. I think it's just got out of hand. Someone said Nigel Pearson is director of football. It wouldn't be a bad shout. I mean, what about Esteban Cambiasso, Imran? I mean, what about him as director of football? Good football knowledge, great contacts. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Leicester-ban Cambiasso, he'd be ideal, right? But would he come here? Because with someone like Esteban Cambiasso, he's going to have networks, right, in Argentina, in South America generally, and in Europe. He's well respected. He'd be a good advisor for sure. But we've never gone down that route, have we? We've never gone through that. Let's try something different route. And I think this coming season, we have to try something different when it comes to, even if it means helping Rudkin out. If Top's not going to get rid of him, get someone to sit on top of Rudkin that can provide him guidance and advice. But don't let him negotiate any contracts.
Don't let him negotiate anything at all.
Yeah.
I think that's what you need to do. Don't forget, Rude said these players have a direct line to Top. That's a problem in itself. Do you know when you don't like a specific manager and you feel that this manager, you can't do anything with him or anything like that, they'll run to the owner and say, I think you need to get rid of him here. He can't do what is being asked and whatever. That's an issue in itself. That shows much player power, doesn't it, Imran?
Yeah.
This is what we've come to, hasn't it, since they've gone to Seagrave. They're just too comfortable, living it up. And, when something just goes wrong, they cry wolf and run straight to Top and say, we can't do this. I think you need to change something, Top. And that's a problem in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I've never agreed with that. Like, if you've got a problem with the manager, you sort it out yourself. You go and sort it out with the manager directly. Don't go squealing to the owner and get his ear. I just think nowadays that's what players are like. And we've kind of made that atmosphere possible at Seagrave, right? As a club, we shouldn't be, the Top should be saying, I don't want to speak to any players. He should be staying away from all of that. Yeah. All he's interested in is results on the pitch. You don't want to be listening to a player squealing to you. Maybe someone like Jamie Vardy or someone like that, fair enough, right? Because Vardy was with us for 13 years, 12 years. He's got the respect. But you can't have someone like Harry Winks and Connor Cody speaking to the owner of the club. That's just unheard of.
Pearson would fit the bill. I tell you what, there'd be no messing about if Pearson were director of football. It'd be business, and he's someone that knows the club like the back of his hand. Maybe that's someone you bring in as director of football, someone who's been here, knows what it takes, and knows the club like the back of its hand, Imran. That's maybe how we look at it. Because Rudkin's time, it's gone stale. Rudkin was Vishai's right-hand man. You know what I mean? In the title-winning season and that. And now Top's got to become his own man and bring his own football advisor in, his own business advisor. You know what I mean? Start his own thing and move Rudkin out. I don't know how it's going to go. Like people say, he's not going to sack him. So you move him elsewhere in some other department of King Power.
Yeah, move him. I've got an idea. Move him to Thailand.
What, move him over there to go work in the offices?
Yeah, go and work there. But just don't come into King Power. That's it. Simple answer.
Work is the bloody team, man.
Yeah.
Top needs a proper football advisor and a business advisor. This is where the fans' frustration sits still now, doesn't it, Imran? Set in stone. The club's been on a massive decline with these last few years, with decisions, wages, PSR, and Top's let it happen under his own nose, hasn't he? I think he's just taken a eye off the ball, and you can't do that.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to the wages again, Jack. This PSR issue is all down to the wages. I think I saw a stat a couple of days ago that we have got the 13th highest wage bill in the Premier League.
Yeah.
13th, right? So therefore, we should be finishing 13th or thereabouts, if you look at it financially. We're now going to go into the Championship, and we're going to have the highest wage bill in the Championship. So something's going to have to be done over the summer to reduce that wage bill, even if it means we pay off Vestergaard, because he's taking up a big chunk as well. Harry Winks, we need to get rid of somehow if he's not going to play. I think he'll be okay in the Championship actually next season if the new manager, if we are going to get a new manager, likes him. I think Winks is proven, but we need players who want to fight for this badge, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't mind if we had Hamza Chowdhury playing, Luke Thomas, Casey McAteer, Fatawu, because we know even Bilal, they're all fighting. You can see they're fighting on the pitch, but you see some players like Fass, to be fair, had a good game yesterday. And in the Championship last season, he was pretty good. He was pretty decent in the Championship, right? So if we need players that are going to perform in the Championship, the rest of them get rid, right? Just get rid of them, loan them out if we have to. Sumare, Christensen, Skip, even Skip. I don't know. He might be okay in the Championship, but again, I'd get rid. There's so many players. D. Cordova-Reid. We just need a clear out, and just get players who want to play for this football club.
Get rid of all these high earners.
Yeah.
They're all contractors these days, footballers are, aren't they? There's no loyalty in football anymore. They just come for the money, and that's what it is. There's just no passion about it. You'll get it from some players, like your Fatawus, your Bilals, which you mentioned, but you look at your bloody Vestergaards and that, and you think, nah, how's that guy got a 3-year contract?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is the club negotiating it again, and this is what's got us into the problem. You need to move the high earners off the wage bill next season. You've got to get rid of them. Start fresh. I
want players to play for my club with fire in their belly, right? When they come out on that pitch, I want to see 100% graft, commitment, and fight. I don't want to see tippy-tappy, walking around, not doing much. And that's what's happening this season.
When you said someone had a good game, Imran, he said it too. You said Fass.
No, I thought Fass was okay yesterday. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, obviously he's going as well, right? But what I'm saying, what I was meant to say about Fass is that last season in the Championship, he was one of our best. It's a Championship, right? So he'd be okay in the Championship. But he's going anyway, right? We know he's probably going to go. Ndidi's probably going to go. Sumare probably going to go. Christensen probably going to go. There's going to be a load of them that are going to go. And the key thing is who we bring in. We might even have a transfer embargo, right? But I'm just saying, it's who we bring in once these players are gone. Will they have fire in their bellies to play for this football club? That's what I want to see. That's
the thing. You trust in the same people who are the problem to sort this mess out. And they're the ones who caused this mess. So I don't think you can trust them again. They've made too many mistakes in Imran, Leicester need a massive clear out top to bottom of this football club. And if that means moving Rudkin on, and so be it, it's for the best of the football club, in getting and actually having a vision for the football club, a plan for the future. When you talk about the plan, it's a 5-year plan. They talk about long-term plans, don't they, in football? You've got to start at plan 1 and then you plan to yourself, how do you get to step 5? And it takes that time. And this is what Leicester's got to do from next season, have a massive reset and then big rebuild and bring in proper football advisor who can actually advise going forward and have the plan for the future. Because this is what Top needs now. He needs to actually bring the right people around him who can say, you know what, this is where we're going forward and this is how we're getting there. Because Leicester have took a backward step. This is where we've had a massive fall off because of the decision making. There's just no communication, are they, between the owners, the fans, the club. what is the vision, Imran? Because there's no plan for the Championship. So what is it? You know, the fans can see what's happening. Why can't Topham Rutkin?
I just think they're just disengaged at the moment. I honestly think that they don't care or something. So, like you said, summer's massive, right? Like, I'm just going to ask you. I'm going to ask you a question, Jack. Right? So, we've just finished the Bournemouth game yesterday, right? It's Bank Holiday Monday today. When do you expect the club to come out with a statement, either telling us that Ruud's going, or going to say sorry, or they're going to just say we're bringing Russell Martin? Yeah, Ruud's gone, Martin's coming in. There's got to be something going to happen in the next 2 or 3 days. Surely, in the next 2 or 3 days, they're going to have to come out and say something, because otherwise, we get to next weekend, there'll be more aggravation. Fans are still going to get more annoyed. So something is definitely going to happen, I think. What do you think? Do you think something's coming in the next 3-4 days?
What with this club?
Yeah.
It will take bloody time. They'll leave it to bloody simmer, let's be honest. They'll leave it too long. Like they have every other decision.
Yeah, but they can't because Ruud's waiting for an answer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because now officially they're off, right?
They're probably waiting for him to get back off his holidays.
Nah, I don't know, man.
You know what they're like? We'll have a pina colada in Benidorm, Ruud. We'll wait till he come back.
Yeah. God, yeah. But you know what? I'm hopeful.
They've got to make the decision quick now, you know. Whether they're playing. The thing is, it's not fair. You know, we need to see action. This is what they need to be, accountability being made by this football club and own their mistakes. But they're not, because they don't seem to do that. They just seem to sweep everything under the carpet like nothing's happened and we'll move on like everything's okay. And this is the issue. This is the negative mindset of the football club. It's like they're stuck in their own ways, you know. It's like, yeah, but nothing's ever happened. You know, what are the fans seeing? You know, we're okay, you know, but we're not. And this is the issue. It's incompetence that's got us into this mess.
But I've got a feeling that we're going to hear something in the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Because with all these rumors, right, about Russell Martin, about Ruud leaving, the club will have to stamp out these rumors, right? So I think it's going to happen in the next, I think by Wednesday, Thursday, there's going to be some breaking news at LCFC. That's what I reckon.
Are they waiting for Martin to put his backroom staff together before anything is announced?
Maybe.
I mean, Ruud's never even had his backroom staff, has he?
Yeah, because we couldn't afford it, right? Because we couldn't sack Cooper's 2 assistants when we sacked Cooper.
Rather take a risk with Edin Terzic or Domenico Tedesco. Edin Terzic I've heard of. I've not heard of the other bloke. I can't say I have. That's paying off Ruud's, coaches off, another manager, more coaches, more money. I mean, the PSR year ends, doesn't it, Imran, on June the 30th?
Is it June the 30th?
Yeah, June the 30th. So they're getting themselves in more bloody PSR trouble by sacking Van Nistelrooy and paying him off. And then they've got to bring another manager in and pay more money out.
So I didn't know that, right? So maybe you're right. They might wait, and they might keep us waiting for another month then.
That's what I'm saying. They'll send Ruud away on holiday for a bit.
Yeah, gardening leave. And then on the 30th of June, they'll announce it. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I didn't know that. So it's actually I thought it was end of May. It's actually end of June, right?
End of June. So if they weren't to sack him and want to get in PSR trouble, they'd leave it to July the 1st, like the bloody did with Steve Cooper, where they left that. You know, the club are not very pragmatic, are they? They're very panic decision people. But these panic decisions have got them in the shit.
Yeah, and then obviously we've got a points deduction looming as well next season, right? So they don't want to get into more trouble by maybe sacking Ruud now and you know, paying him off, because that'll count negatively on the PSR.
Send Rudkin to Belgium. Where's the director of football at OH Leuven? So you might as well send him and do something there.
Yeah, you can buy some good players for them.
Well, Chris Goldman's manager, isn't he? And I'm sure he'll have a good advice on it. Imran, they'll send you there and not to do a job for him. You know, they might employ you as manager, Imran. It'd be a great holiday, wouldn't it?
There's even a rumour that we might even take, or we're negotiating with the Premier League to take the points deduction this season. So if we take a 12-point deduction, right now, we'll finish bottom of the Premier League. We lose the £3 million extra that we were going to get, and then we start next season. Everybody else, we start on 0 points. But I don't know if that rumor is true. I read that somewhere as well, that they are negotiating with the Premier League to get the points deduction this season rather than next season.
We got an extra £3 million for finishing third bottom. That's going to go on just to pay Vestergaard off, that, Terry. That's going to pay Vestergaard off.
Yeah, that's Wolo Koulibaly's transfer fee as well, that is.
Yeah. This is it. You know, that's the problem, isn't it, Imran? You know, you brought in Wolo Koulibaly, a guy who's never featured. I thought he looked good. I don't know what you thought when he played in the Leicester shirt. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit like, I don't know. He was a little bit. He didn't know what he was doing.
In the player.
Yeah, but you can see he's got potential. He's got a lot of pace. Wants to go forward, but you could see he was still a bit scattergun in his approach. I still don't think that was a rude signing. I think he was on our watch list during the Enzo days, and we just pulled the trigger in January to sign him. I don't think Ruud wanted him. Otherwise, Ruud would have played him, right? If you're a manager, you sign a player, you're probably going to play him. Ruud never played him.
Let's talk about the Championship.
Championship gonna be all right. Worry, bad thing. Because Championship's gonna be all right.
And there we go. The Championship's going to be all right, or is it? That's the big question for Leicester City, Imran. Let's discuss the Championship. What do Leicester City need? I mean, new manager's going to happen in it. Ruud's futures looks very much done at Leicester City. New manager looks to be, reported Russell Martin. Whether is it a leverage type of thing from his people that they're pushing on this type of thing to say, you know what, he is going to be close to joining Leicester, or to get another club to be interested in him, to get him a good job. Russell Martin, his football was very much worse than Enzo Maresca's style of football. It's even more extortionate, defensive. Takes about 15 minutes to go forward because they're too busy passing it around the back, and that a side who concedes a lot of goals and doesn't score a lot of goals. Very much stubborn in his own approach, doesn't change anything, has one plan and one plan only. Obviously got Southampton out of the Championship last season, but very much shocking in the Premier League, you know, the way he went about things with Southampton in the Prem. Failed miserably. And if they didn't sack him out, I probably think they would have finished on less points than Derby. But Russell Martin, Imran, is it a name that you'd say, you know what, this is what it is in the situation we're in? Or are you sort of against this type of appointment? Would you, if you had to go for someone else, who would you realistically look at if you didn't want Russell Martin?
So I'm kind of torn with this one because I'd rather keep Ruud than take Russell Martin for two reasons. First reason is because he's already at the club, so we might as well keep him to avoid the PSR issues and stuff. And the players are already comfortable, or should I say, already know Ruud. I wouldn't say they're comfortable with him, but they're already working with Ruud. So why rock the boat then, right? And go for another manager, who's going to come in with his own ideas and he's going to shake things up. I know he's going to have pre-season to work on all this stuff, but certain players might not like him. Maybe the young players might not like him. We don't know, right? We just don't know. But what we do know is he plays boring football. Right, so I don't know.
Those style of football we didn't like, you know what I mean.
But at the same time, when I heard him on Sky Sports a few weeks ago, it looks like he's learnt from his mistakes as well, right? So he's saying that he can change it up now if he wants to. He's got more of a fluid formation. And to be fair, he didn't have a strong squad at Southampton, and he did okay in the Championship with them. So I'm kind of torn right now. Like I've just given you the pros and the cons there on Ruud and Martin, but I don't want either of them. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't want either of them. But if you were to give me a choice between the two, I'd probably say stick with Ruud. Give him the first couple of months in the Championship, and then see where it goes from there. If it's going to avoid us getting more of a points difference, not that I want Ruud, but let's just keep him for now. Avoid that points deduction maybe next season, and then we have got like money in the bank to say, right, if Ruud doesn't perform, we can get rid. Or the other choice is just go for the Sheffield Wednesday guy, that Martin Roll, sorry, and go for him, right? And he seems pretty decent. But this is the conversations we're having, Jack. We're looking at lowest, like I'd call them level 3 managers. We can't even tempt a David Moyes has gone to Everton now, but they're the managers we should have gone for.
It's not ambitious managers, are they?
No, exactly. But that's where we've sunken to.
Shows how much of a mess we've got ourselves into and how lower of the standards we've got nowadays.
Yeah, so that goes to show, right, how low we've gone, right, when we're looking at managers of this caliber.
We're just settling for second best or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Third best in some cases. But yeah, that's where we are.
I agree. Ruud, he's not helped himself at Leicester, has he? Let's be honest. Team selection proved it yesterday. The guy's inept, so even making it a good decision. He talks about the youth. He only started using them after we got relegated. I mean, he should have been using them before, because we were going to go down way before we got relegated anyway. So, we should have been using them from that point. Russell Martin seems very much like a Steve Cooper. He'll say everything you want to hear, but you don't see anything of what he says. People say, yeah, but managers learn by their mistakes, but they don't. They'll just tell anyone what they want to hear just to get in a job. That this is what they do. It's like Leicester City's board when they hire these managers. They'll tell them, we've got money to spend. You've got this, you've got that. Like they told Van Nistelrooy, you got money to spend and that. And what did they say in January? Nah, we can't do that. I'm sorry. They lied straight through the teeth. They lied to his face.
Did the same with Enzo. Did the same with Brendan Rodgers.
I think that was a big problem to why Enzo thought, I can't handle this. Because in January, he had the same problem, didn't he? When Stefano Sensi didn't sign Enzo? He called out the board. He wanted a new director of football, and they didn't want to give it to him. But, you only succeed in a football club by making these positive changes. And this is why I say the club are stuck in their own ways. And it just feels like they're just too stubborn to make the right changes for the club. And this is why we're stuck. We need to be moving with the times, but then you've got Brentford passing us, Bournemouth, Brighton, and them type teams, because they've got a right format of where they want to be and how to get there. Leicester are just like, yeah, it's all right. We'll go down again.
But they don't pay. They don't pay these ridiculous wages as well, right? No. You look at Bournemouth's wage bill. Yeah, look at Bournemouth's wage bill, right? It's about 40% less than ours. Can you believe that? 40% less than our wage bill. And look how well they're playing and the players they've got.
Yeah, Paul talks about that. Wouldn't the taking the deduction this year means that we get a lower points than Derby? I mean, but if we got a 12-point deduction, Jesus Christ, I think we would. Wait. But
that's fine. That's fine, because we know we had more points than Derby anyway. We just got points deducted. I know what Paul's saying, but ultimately we did get more points than Derby.
One thing we did better than most of the league this year is 0 red cards.
There you go. No fire in the belly. That's what I was saying. No aggression. There's no aggression in that team at all.
Should have gone for John Mousinho from Portsmouth. Easily the best young manager in the EFL right now.
But look, Jack, let's just be realistic as well, right? The Championship is going to be all right, like you said, right? Or may not be. But what I'm saying is it's not a strong league, right? It's a competitive league. Don't get me wrong. It's very competitive, but it lacks a lot of quality. And I think we've seen that over the last 2 seasons where the 3 promoted clubs have consistently or in consecutive seasons got relegated. It happened last season. It's happened this season. So I think the step up to the Premier League has become so big now that teams are struggling to stay up. So we look at the three that have gone up this season, right? Sunderland were terrible yesterday. Good luck to them. They won the game yesterday. By the way, I studied in Sunderland. I got my degree there, so I was happy for them. But the team they've got, they're going to struggle next season. Sunderland are. Leeds, right? Their fans are ecstatic they're back in the Premier League, but it's going to be a tough slog for them as well. And Burnley already know about the Premier League, right? I think they're going to struggle as well. I think they're already the favourites to go down before the season's even going to kick off, right? I know we've got a summer transfer window on the horizon, but I still think these three promoted clubs are going to struggle in the Premier League. So in the Championship, we're going to be, I think, if we don't get this points deduction, I think we'll be one of the strongest teams in the Championship already. Because Ipswich are going to lose Delap. They're going to lose Hutchinson. They're going to lose a few of their other players that I can't name right now. Right? So Ipswich will be weaker. Who else is in there? Sheffield United, right? Okay, they'll be pretty strong as well. But again, I think some of their players are going to end up leaving, right? Like Ben Hamer and not Ben. Who's that lad who set up the goal yesterday? I forgot his name. The guy from Coventry. The lad from Coventry. I forgot his name. But yeah, there are going to be strong teams in the Championship, right? Some are going to be on momentum. They'll, just like Ipswich, they had 2 successive promotions. There might be a team like that shocks everybody next season. But I still think on paper, we've got a strong squad to at least finish in the top 6.
I also think with Leicester, a factor this season, because way back to the start of the season, Leicester should have spent big. They should have, and not worried about PSR. They should have worried about PSR after.
But nobody wanted to come. Nobody wanted to come, Jack, because of PSR. I think that's the reason why we ended up with Cooper, right? Because he was the only manager that thought, oh, fuck it, I'll come anyway because no one else is giving me a job. And even the players we were going for, right, were turning us down because they didn't want to have this 12-point, 10-point deduction looming over our head. Fortunately, we got away with it the season just gone. But I honestly think that PSR grey cloud hindered our transfer window last season.
Paul said Brendan were right. Rodgers was right after the Forest game. We needed a reset. He called it out, didn't he, Brendan, for what it was. And then they went and sold his best centre-half, didn't they, in that summer window, Wesley Fofana. Brought him fast for £15 million to replace him. And Leicester needed the reset. That's where the downfall started, isn't it? That season to now.
I don't think so. I think it was the season before. I think it was when we signed Soumare, Vestergaard, Bertrand, Daka.
Yeah.
Right. That's the season. Yeah, we ended up in a European semi-final, but that's the season that I think it started falling down. That's what I think.
Imran, currently we have a squad good enough for the top 6 in the Championship, but we are probably paying £40 million more wages in second place. That's the problem in itself.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
I think last year we paid £30 million more.
Yeah, we're going to be the highest wages. We're going to be the club paying the highest wages next season again, right? That there's no doubt about that in the Championship.
This is where Leicester's got to go with this season.
So we didn't buy Lookman, right? But we bought Daka. Just imagine that.
Mad, isn't it? And not what Lookman went on to achieve after he left Leicester City, by the way. Hold that one. It's crazy. But Imran, next season with players, who are you expecting to stay and who are you getting rid of? Start with your goalkeepers. Obviously, Daniel Iverson's going Preston anyway. Danny Ward's going to leave. Stolasic would probably be number 1, so that leaves Hermanson going. Obviously, he's been linked with Man United today. They're watching him. What about defence? How many of them do you get rid of?
So I think the Vestergaard and Fass for sure need to go, right? I think we've seen enough of them now. They've been at the club for many a year, and it's time to get rid. I think JJ will stay. I think Luke Thomas will stay. Welo Koulibaly, I'm hearing he's already wanting to leave, so he might. I know we signed him in January, but I think he's probably going to end up going if he wants. Like, it just depends again on the manager. If Ruud stays, if he goes, who comes in? Do they like Welo? But from his Instagram, it looks like he's going to end up leaving. Christensen's going for sure. Well, I hope he goes. So that means we're left with Ben Nelson coming back. All right. Who's had a pretty good season, at Oxford. So I think we should just give him a chance to start. I think Cody's going to probably stay as well.
Ricardo.
Oh, I forgot about Ricardo. He's definitely staying as well from his message today. It looks like Christensen gone, like I said. I think I want him gone.
What about midfield? I mean, Ndidi's got a buyout clause. Samare, I'd probably sell them both, if I'm honest.
Both. Get rid of both of them. Like, not good enough. Winks as well. If we can get rid. Again, I can't see us getting rid of. Skip. I can't see us getting rid of him, but he should be leaving. We should be looking at getting him off our books as well. Winks, possibly, depending on how he gets on with Ruud or the new manager. Yeah. Winks has already proved himself as a stable Championship midfielder. So, what about Bilal? What do you think?
I'd like to give him a year in the Championship. I would, but
do you think? Do you think a team will come in for him?
I do now. The buyout clause prices come out of 18. I think it's 19 million pound. I think Leicester earns £1 million more than what we brought him for. So I think teams will pay that price for him. There's potential there. You know what I mean? There's a player there, so he's only going to get better. Van Nistelrooy has been highly spoke about, Bilal this season. How good he is, how technically he is. You know, the more he develops, the more better he gets. So I think teams would take a massive punt on him. I mean, Hamza Chowdhury.
Mr. Lone Man, eh?
Can we get money for him?
So he was at Watford, remember? We loaned him out to Watford a few seasons ago. Then now he's at Sheffield United. So obviously we keep giving him a new contract, but then we keep loaning him out. Yeah. So I'd probably keep him for the Championship because he's a good utility player. But if we can find a suitor for him and get a transfer fee, I'd get rid as well.
Sheffield United, maybe, if they go with the obligation to buy him. Harry Souttar.
I'd keep Harry Souttar as well for the Championship.
Proven in Championship for his injury with Sheffield United. Caleb Okoli. I'd keep him personally with Ben Nelson as centre backs next season. Fatawa and Mavididi, I'd keep.
Yeah, they're both. I think they're both certain to stay.
Teared up the Championship last year for me, then pair.
Yeah.
Will Alves, Ben Nelson's he keeps. You know, Jordan Ayew.
I'd keep him as well
for experience.
Yeah, because now we've lost Vardy. We need an elderly statesman in the squad.
I don't think he'll start next season.
No.
Nah, it'd be a bench player a lot.
Yeah, but he does win us. He does win us a lot of free kicks, and he holds the ball up pretty well. He's probably our best hold-up player to hold the ball up, shielding the ball and all that good stuff. He's really good at that. Decord over Reed.
Jesus, if we'd signed him for money, I think I'd get well annoyed with it. You know what I mean? He's proven in the Championship. I just don't think he's good enough though to fit the systems.
He's too old as well, isn't he? How old is he now? 32.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
Patson Daka, sell. Bring in another striker. Well,
yeah, but we've only got we've only got the one striker, right? So I wouldn't say sell him now. If we sign two strikers, then get rid of him. I wouldn't get rid of him if we haven't got a backup.
Who else have we got in the squad? I mean, Buonotti's going to go back to Brighton.
Edward's going back to Palace without an FA Cup.
Thank God he's going back. Jesus Christ. Actually, he's a free agent in the summer, I think, Edward.
Really?
We won't be going back to Crystal Palace.
Yeah. He'll be going back to...
I just hope we don't bloody sign him on a permanent deal, Brad. That'd be a Joe Brooking move, if that happens.
What if we had an obligation to buy on that loan?
I'm all right, thanks. No, I'm all right. He was slower than Vestergaard in the Championship last season on the occasions I watched it. I think he's on about Suter. Ward is confirmed to be leaving. Thank God. About time.
About
It's bloody
time.
3 years too long. Imran, let's have a look what Ricardo's had to say today. Obviously, he's brought out a statement. Obviously, a lot of passion went behind this one. Let me move that out of the way. So, the season comes to an end, and what a tough one it's been, far from what any of us wanted. There's something that kept coming to my mind over these last weeks and months. Maybe it's time to reconnect with what made this club successful. So he's talking about the ambition and the drive to get us to where we once was, which feels very much long distance. And with what people talked about when I first arrived. So he's talking about the club's ambition, what the plan is, the future. You know, they had a direct where they wanted to be and how they got there. And he talks about the fight, being fearless, staying humble, showing resilience, and most of all, sticking together. So they had a squad back then, didn't they, Imran, who would fight for each other, who would be fearless. You know, they'd be resilient in games and fight for one another. You know, that's something that we've lost, isn't it, Imran? Pride, dignity, what the club should be. You know, it's Fox's never quit motto that seems to be very much quit over the past few seasons.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's a really good message there by Ricardo. I mean, that does show that he cares. I know he's been injured. He's had bad luck on injuries. And again, he's another elderly statesman that we're going to need in the squad next season to really, really, you know, drive us forward, because they're the sort of players that we need to keep, right? So I think if we end up keeping Ricardo, Ayew, and probably Cody as our three experienced players, then I think, you know, and then supplement around them with all the younger players, I think we should be okay next season.
Now it's time to rest, but also reflect. Honest reflection is needed. I think probably a message to the board, because that's what's needed. Reflect on everything and put things right. Even in bad moments, there's always something to learn, and those lessons will make us improve. So that's very much something you tell the board, isn't it, Imran? You know, there's lessons to be learned, and you've got to improve. You know, you've got to learn by your mistakes, own it, and be accountable for it. Thank you for your support through the highs and especially through the lows. I mean, that's an incredible statement, isn't it? You know, a proper player, a proper leader, you know, a real great guy, Ricardo. Been here many years, and he's been through the good and the bad of Leicester City Football Club, and he stayed loyal. He could have moved a few years back, but it's just a shame injuries have very much hindered his career.
Yeah, it's just a shame. Like, I think, the injuries have really set him back, but his loyalty is something to be admired, right? Him and Vardy have stuck with us for, and even Albrighton as well, by the way. Like, those three stuck with us for a long time.
It's all about Connor Cody. The thing is, Wilby, with Cody, is some fans feel that he speaks a lot more than his actions. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And that's a lot of players. You look at James Maddison back in the relegation season. He spoke a lot more with the media than he did doing things on the pitch. Let's have a look what Caleb Okoli said. This season didn't go how we dreamed. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. We'll rebuild and come back stronger. Thank you for sticking with us. What do you take from Caleb Okoli's statement, Imran? Does it give you the signs that he could stay at Leicester and help us get back to where we want to get back to? Could we see the potential partnership of him and Ben Nelson next season in the Championship, which I think would be fantastic if you can build it the way from the back onto the front? What do you take from Caleb Okoli's comments for a player who hasn't really featured this season?
Yeah, so I think from that statement there, I hadn't seen that, by the way, Jack, but it looks like he's planning to stay with us next season, right?
Yeah.
It's that last sentence there, we'll rebuild and come back stronger. Thank you for sticking with us. That's pretty clear to me that he's intending to stay unless the powers above make an opposite decision. But I think from that, he wants to stay.
I'd keep him. He's one that I would keep personally.
Yeah, he's young. He's still young, right? And he's got like potential. He's still got growth in his game. So I think long term, I think he'd be a good. He'd be a keeper for sure.
I think for Riccoli, he's been unfairly treated with game time and that. He's got the Vestergaard's ahead of him. Wow, Fassage. When players haven't performed, he still hasn't got a look in. The problem with Riccoli is he hasn't had a fair chance. I think the first team, in terms of Ricardo gets the club, a shame that a lot of the others don't. This is what you want, isn't it, Imran? The players who know the club like the back of the hand to come out and speak about these situations, because they'll feel it, what the fans are feeling. You look at Vardy's statement this season, shit show, whatever he called it. He got what the fans felt. He said the fans don't deserve this. And then you got Ricardo coming out today saying the same thing. We need to go back to basics and start again and have that sort of admission of ambition, find ourselves again and come back stronger. Rulkin in the board has thrown various managers under the bus with effective mistakes. Unless the board room gets sorted, we will continue having PSR problems. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's the root cause, right? We've discussed this already. The wages alone have caused us all of these PSR issues. We've been giving out ridiculous amounts of money on, average players on their wages, and unfortunately, it's led to this, dire situation for the club.
I agree. Imran, that is it. Thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate it.
The advantage of being home alone for the next week, so I'm all good. My family is away for half term. I've been working, so I couldn't go with them. So no worries.
Should we get Imran back on the final whistle, Leicester fans? Let me know in the comments. Stick your thumbs up if we say yes. If you're not happy with what Imran's done tonight and he's done a bad job, just tell Imran what it is. I'm sure Imran will be happy enough to explain himself. But Riccoli looks like he can win the ball, but good enough, but can't do anything on it once he gets it. If we get Martin next season, he will improve again. I think you've got to have the right manager, haven't you? The right philosophy, the right structure in the way you want to perform. You've got to build a style of football that suits your squad currently and the players coming in, Imran.
Yeah, I mean, look, the style of play, the way we play currently, the passing game, I think that's really been a detrimental. It's had a detrimental effect on our players because it's made them. It's made them. I don't know. I just think we're just not fit enough, Jack. Right. I think our team is just not fit enough. Mm. So I reckon football needs to be played in a way where look, you're a match goer, Jack. I'm a match goer, right?
We see a lot.
We see a lot of shit, right? Like all I want to be doing is being at the edge of my seat, right? And like even the Ipswich game that we went to last week, I thought Ipswich were the better team. I thought Ipswich, they created more chances. I want my team to do that and lose. Like if we created more chances and we were entertaining and we lost, I wouldn't be complaining as much because I thought we played well. So that I think we just need to get fitter, hungrier, stronger. Again, I'm saying this term again, fire in our bellies.
Get the right manager in.
Yeah, get the right manager in and then play a brand of football that everybody, all the fans can buy into, and we're excited again. I want to be excited again when I come to the King Power.
I agree. Bring that excitement back. Richard says, dodgy sponsors, awful signings. Yeah. Like we've agreed in here, Brand, about the sponsor this season, BT Gaming, the signings that have come in, no communication, the board's not taking responsibility. Something needs sorting before anything else. That's the main core, like you spoke about, haven't you, Imran? this is the core problem. And this is what needs sorting out first before everything else in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks now. I didn't know it was end of June, but as soon as the board sorts itself out, starts communicating a little bit more. I don't know, did you fill in that survey from the Foxes Trust?
I did. I were honest. They said, do you trust the board and that? I said, no.
Oh yeah, I filled it in as well. So
you just got to be honest, Imran, with everything you see. You say it as you see it. You know, you don't beat around the bush. You know, obviously we go to games and that, don't we? We see everything. The problems, and we speak about it. His friends and that, and you know, and we acknowledge it. Great night, lads. Appreciate it. Imran, thanks for coming on. Hopefully we'll get you on again soon. The fans approved tonight, so it's fantastic to have you on. Great football knowledge as always. Great guest, and I'll catch you soon.
All right, take care, Jack. Have a nice one.
Imran. Take care, mate. That is it then, Leicester fans. Really appreciate you taking your time tonight to really indulge in all this, getting your points across, and yeah, just getting involved as always. Really appreciate it. A lot more to discuss. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed to the Final Whistle. Please get down and do so. And that is it from me. Go and check out the match day vlog from Bournemouth. I think we're going to be doing an end of season review, maybe with Rob Tanner. So if you want to see that, give it a thumbs up anyway. And yeah, the end of a catastrophic season then for Leicester City Football Club. As the Championship now is not far away, is it? We've got to get planning. So let's see what bloody happens then. Will Root be sacked soon? Who knows? But more content to come over the summer, of course. I will take a break at some point, but all the news is we hear it. We'll do a stream on it, get everyone's analysis, views, and whatever it is, because you guys matter. I just want to come on here now, lastly, leave you a message. I just want to say thank you for your incredible support over the season. It means a lot, and you guys mean everything to this channel. Without you, this channel wouldn't happen. So I'm really appreciative of all your support during the season. Much love from the Final Whistle himself, and take care. Have a great rest of your night, and up the Foxes. I'll catch you soon.
Hi all, thank you for watching the Final Whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.